We've all heard about karma, and usually the first thing that comes to mind is this idea of cosmic punishment, right? A heavy debt we have to repay. But what if it's not about judgment at all? What if it's something more like music? That's the idea we're going to dive into.
Yeah, that word karma, for a lot of us, it immediately brings up this image, doesn't it? It's like a heavy weight, some kind of cosmic scorecard just ticking off all our mistakes. And honestly, it's an idea that can make you feel kind of trapped, like you're just endlessly paying for a past you can't even change. But hold on. What if we've been looking at this whole thing completely backward? This is the big idea we're unpacking here. What if karma has nothing to do with debt and everything to do with being an unresolved melody? Just think about that. An unfinished song, that's all it is. And it just wants to be completed. All right, so let's get into our first section here, the unfinished energy. If karma isn't a debt, then what is it? Well, this perspective suggests it's something else entirely. It's a form of, you guessed it, unfinished energy.
So what do we mean by unfinished energy? Well, it's not about punishment. Not at all. It's about a pattern. You know what I'm talking about, right? That same situation or that same feeling or even that same type of relationship that just keeps showing up in your life. The cycle isn't there to punish you. It's just there to get your attention. Think about it like a song that's stuck in your head. An earworm, right? It just plays on a loop over and over again. Well, according to this view, these karmic patterns are exactly like that. They're just unresolved melodies, playing on repeat until we finally stop, really listen, and hear the lesson that's hidden in the notes. So when you put these two views side by side, the difference is, well, it's huge. The old way of thinking is all about external stuff, punishment, debt, judgment, and it can leave you feeling pretty powerless, even fearful. But this new view, it's all internal. It's all about our awareness, our search for balance, and our own ability to understand.
And this leads us to this really cool concept, balance-seeking awareness. So what does that mean? It means there's no cosmic judge sitting on a throne. Nope. Instead, the energy pattern itself is just naturally trying to resolve, kind of like water always finds its own level. And the key, the one thing that helps it resolve, it's our awareness. Our understanding is what finally finishes the song.
Okay, so that brings us to our second section, the soul's chosen role. Because, look, if karma is really just about understanding these patterns, it kind of begs a much bigger question, doesn't it? Why are we even here in the first place? Well, this way of thinking asks us to totally reconsider how we look at life. I mean, what if it's not just this single straight line from birth to death? What if it's more like a continuous stream of consciousness? From that point of view, life and death, they're not a beginning and an end. They're just shifts in perspective.
And that leads to a really powerful question. What if you chose to be here? Seriously, not as a punishment, not to pay off some debt, but just out of curiosity. What if your soul was just curious? Curious about what it's like to experience limitations, to face challenges, and maybe just to see if you could remember how powerful you really are, even in the middle of it all.
Okay, here's a great way to think about it. Picture life as this huge, grand play. And after each lifetime, after the curtain falls, we get to step backstage. And back there, we review our performance. But here's the key. It's not with judgment. It's with curiosity. And then we choose our next role. We pick the next lessons we want to explore, and then we step right back out onto the stage for the next act.
So you see, in this way of looking at things, reincarnation is absolutely not a trap that you have to escape from. It's the opposite. It's active, conscious participation. It's a deliberate choice to come back, to keep exploring, to keep learning, and to keep expanding what you understand.
And that brings us to our third and final section, remembering the composer. And this right here might be the most empowering idea of all, because if we're the actors choosing our own roles, well, doesn't that also mean we're the ones who wrote the music in the first place? We're the composers of our own unresolved melodies.
So the goal,
The real point of all this, it isn't to break out of the cycle like it's some kind of prison. No way. True awakening is about remembering our own creative power while the play is still going on, right in the middle of the experience.
So, what does this actually change for us day to day? Well, it's a huge shift. You go from feeling like a victim of circumstances, like you're at the mercy of some cruel fate, to realizing you're actually a part of the whole design. And when that clicks, fear just kind of loosens its grip. That heavy weight gets lifted, and life just feels lighter. And that leaves us with one final question that really flips the whole script on its head. We can stop asking, why is this happening to me? And we can start asking something much more powerful. What am I choosing to understand through this experience? And of course, that's an answer that only you can find.